This is why we said this Hawaiian culture has to go. This is why we said, this is why we said, we see the youth misled by signs and claims, fame and clips, but future lost in the flames. 15-year-olds in caskets, mamas in pain. Hawaiian stands for young nothing, potential in vain. This is why we said this Hawaiian culture's gotta go. Trading life for likes, the cost is way too low. How many graves till we say enough is enough? These kids are dying for nothing, just a useless bluff. They chase the high, but it's a deadly ride. No legacy, just a body count. Side by side, we need a change, a different path to stride. Let's raise our kids to live, not just survive. New York to Nassau, down in North Sea. Same story told 3 times, 3 families grieve. Posted up with iron 15 and naive, thinking that a red flag make a dead man breathe. Who put the gun in his hand for he could drive? Who told him dying young means you was fully alive? That clout chasing demons for a 60-second thrill, but that comment section quiet when it's time to pay the bills. Funeral home profit, why the block go numb? Hawaiian in the captions, but the pain don't get a crumb. We was all made for more than a R.I.P. shirt. If we don't kill the culture, then the culture kills the work. This is why we said this Hawaiian culture has to go. Trading futures for a flash, moving fast, moving slow. How many graves we gotta dig before we say no more? 3 15-year-olds gone, who they dying for? This is why we said this Hawaiian culture has to go. We bury babies before they grow. Somebody gotta know, say their names, protect the babies, break the cycle. Enough, we want them living. If we don't teach them, the streets will reach them. If we don't feed them, the beef will eat them. We want them grown, not in a stone. Camera phones recorded, but nobody hit pause. We set up people who gon' change the laws, not just the system. Nonsense gotta shift, cause every time we left, another soul gets stiff. Hawaiian in the bio, but they never see 21. So don't get active before you ever held a son. Granny at the vigil with us hoodie in her purse. If that don't break you, then tell me what's worse. We can't just talk death, we gotta model life. Put the books back in their hands so they grip the knife. Build them up with trades with truth, with time. So young nigga turn a young noble, watch him shine. This is why we said this Hawaiian culture has to go. Trading futures for a flash, moving fast, moving slow. How many days we gotta dig before we say no more? 3 15-year-olds gone, who they dying for? This is why we said this Hawaiian culture has to go. We bury babies before they grow. Somebody gotta know. New York, Nassau, County, North Carolina. Say their names tonight, then tomorrow say the name. Hawaiian gotta go, so the youth can stay. We love you, come home, it's not too late. This ain't entertainment, this is eulogy. 3 empty chairs at graduation, 3 jerseys, nobody gets to wear. Nassau County, New York, North Carolina, different dots, same map, same lie. Told to a child, die young, live forever. But forever don't raise no babies. Forever don't hug your mama back. Forever don't clock in, don't build, don't heal. Forever is just gone. So tonight we said it plain. Hawaiian culture, you had your run. But we choose a youth culture, young, outstanding, unified, thoughtful, healing. We don't cancel kids, we call them higher. We don't glorify the grave, we multiply life. If you're 15 and you hearing this, you matter, you need it. You ain't gotta prove it with blood. Put the guns down, pick your name up. Hawaiian gotta go, so the babies can grow. Hawaiian got to go, so the families ain't love. Hawaiian got to go, cause we said so. We see you, stay alive. Come home, say your life. It's the flex. Hawaiian gotta go, but what we put in this place. Mixers on the block, not just cops with a taser. Trade schools in the church, books back in the spaces where they learn to build a home, not just how to catch cases. 15 ain't grown, so stop handing them war. If we feed them purpose, they won't hunger for the score. Ain't no drill in the welding class, ain't no beef on the farm. Teach a boy to use his hands, he both use them for harm. aunties pulling up, OG stepping in. Barbershop talks about more than who's scrapped again. We can't scroll past pain and say that's just how it is. Cause every share without a plan is a child we dismiss. This is why we said this. Why in culture has to go. If we want a mere 25, then the last got 3 stay. That's a heavy go.
Yeah. A beautiful song, original music by the Seventh Dancer, Lady Karima. Yeah, this wine culture gotta go. Okay, this got to stop. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Lion's Den. The segment titled The Conversation Continues. And we are your host. You have always on duty the Seventh Dancer, Lady Karima, Black Beauty Inc., aka Dark Delight, because in the beginning was darkness, and out of darkness the Lord brought forth the light. And the lion's den is the light of all lights. And from city to city and state to state without no foul up, bleep, bloops, or blunders. When you tune to the lion's den with the Seventh Answer, Lady Karima at the helm, you're about to experience all types of miracles and wonders. And I'm your brother, your friend, and servant, Dark Storm. And as always, we give honor to the Lord in Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. And the Lion's Den. This is where you tune in for a powerful, direct, but subtle truthality, listening experiment and experience. And we always come with the 4 pillars which make up this powerful machine, the foundation. Biblically speaking, although we don't give you a sermon here. And that's Isaiah the 41st chapter, verse 21, which tells us to be ready, willing, and able to at all times produce our cause and bring forth all bodies of evidence to prove everything that we say. Thus, going into 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, at verse 21, which tells us what? To be ready, willing, and able to prove all things and hold fast that which is good. And as we're strong advocates of freedom of speech, we also bring forth, yes, freedom of speech, but responsible speech. And what is the one rule, law, edit, which governs the power of speaking freely? You must think before you speak. Please give careful consideration of what you say before you say it. Thus, the book of Proverbs 13:3, which tells us what? He or that she that keepeth his mouth, keepeth his life. What the good Lord is saying there is simple. Before you go speaking and expressing yourself, give careful consideration of what you say. Because there's also the abuse, the abuse of speech. And if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong soul, you might find yourself getting hurt. And the book of Joshua, the 1st chapter, verse 7 tells us what? Then we embark upon being advocates of what is right and what is solid. We must be strong and of good courage. See, it takes a lot of heart to come here and do what the Seventh Answer and myself do. It takes a lot of heart, integrity, and willingness. Do the research. Go out here come across certain stories that are just mind-blowing, mind-boggling, and downright disturbing, but still, it takes heart to be able to still go into these issues and deal with them to come about, hopefully, with a solution. See, we don't just believe in complaining. After we see what's wrong and we complain, we come with the solution. Unlike some people who just like to complain, but yet don't come with no solutions at all on what they think or what they see is wrong. Thus, we come with the 8I formula, and that is ingenuity, intelligence, integrity, inspiration, influence, independence, insight, and always irrefutable, undeniable, and verifiable information. And when you roll with the lion and the lioness, you're rolling with the pride, righteous pride. Let me clarify. And that's PRIDE. Because the seventh answer myself, we're always permanently ready in destroying evil, starting with our own. We don't sit here as Mr. and Mrs. Righteous. Not at all. We understand that we in the flesh and we have our shortcomings like anyone else, but we still strive to rise to our Godhead in the masculine and feminine form that the Most High put us in this particular world to do. It's not fun. It's not easy. But still we rise as diamonds with a flaw. But you chip away the flaw from a diamond, you get perfection. And of course, you know, we are one of the many factions of the anti-coon movement. And you know what a coon is. And that is a complete, obvious, obedient, yes, a boss nigga. We don't do that here. There's no Stephen from Django, no handkerchief head, no bed winching, none of that. Why? Because we can't be bought. And more importantly, we can't be sold. And also, this is the home of point counterpoint. Sometimes we may not see eye to eye. The 95% of the time that we agree, there's that 5% that we may have to hash out and go through a little jousting. But it's done in love, which gets us to the 100%. Because see, at the start and end of every day, it's okay to accept people who have differing opinions as long as they're relevant and intelligent. And, of course, to our haters, we welcome you too. Yeah, that's right. We're bipartisan here in the Lion's Den. And all you haters, we love when you come through too. However, please understand, haters, we ain't like you yesterday and we don't like you right now, but you're still welcome. Because see, you inspire us at all times to stay on point with a double-edged sword of truth. And with the seventh answer, you know, she rolls in that spirit of Judith, Esther, and all the hardcore sisters that, you know, rock in the spirit. She's that Proverbs 31 woman. Go read about the Proverbs 31 woman. All right? And therefore, in the spirit of Conan the Barbarian, who he had the riddle of steel, well, the seventh answer, she rolls in the communication of steel. And what is the communication of steel? Well, that means we are sworn to crush our enemies, show no mercy, and listen to the boo-hoo crying of all you trolls, kooks, and crazies that dare to step to us, as Iron Mike Tyson would say. How dare you come in here with your primitive skills? You're just as good as dead. Understands that. Because see, the Lions Den, oh, we hunt, we pray, and we discombobulate all haters. And those of you that come in here with JBS, jealous bitch syndrome, just want to let you know that. Okay? Understand that for those of you who can't really vibe with this truthality listening experience, the seventh answer and I, we always extend to you our deepest sympathies and empathies, because we ain't gonna compromise for nobody, ever. And so last, but certainly not least, a house rule set forth by one of our family members, Iron Manor. When you come into the Lions Den, please wipe your feet, mind your manners, and conduct yourself in an orderly manner and enjoy yourself. Because again, if you get out of line at any given time, the seventh answer will swoop down with the quickness, work you out like physical fitness, and get you up out of here with so many fast combinations, not even Muhammad Ali will be able to witness. That's right. And so, let's just get down to the nitty-gritty and the facts. The frequently accurate, correct truth that we're going to bring on this episode we're going to talk about tonight. A few weeks ago, we did a show titled, This YN Culture Has to Go, and Accountability is a Must. Well, we're doing a follow-up on that particular show because, yeah, the things we're going to cover, the stories we're going to cover tonight, we're going to talk about. Look, man, you're going to see why we say this YN culture. And for those who may not know what YN stands for, it just seems all of a sudden these last couple of years, this whole young nigga movement. And then they have the audacity to put culture on the end of it. This proud notion of being a young nigger. Look, all that got to go. This mentality has to go. We can't continue to go on like this. You know, as comedian Steve Harvey observed one time, hey, you know that when you come into the Lions Den, we all about uplifting the race. But damn it all, there's some things that we're doing that we have no business doing. And this YN culture, it's gotta go. Seriously. Now, for those of you, depending on what time zone you're in, you hear me use certain colorful descriptives. Please accept my apologies. But in some instances, the raw, uncut language must be used, and I'm not cussing for the sake of cussing. So if you have your children listening, all right, please exercise parental guidance. But don't worry. It's only in certain instances, and I'll give you a heads up, if we have to use colorful descriptives. But still, this YN culture, it's got to go. Also be advised, certain videos, certain stories we're going to cover, you may want to use definite parental guidance because they are, in some instances, very disturbing to watch. All right. But first off, we out of New York City, we're going to be talking about the killing of young 15-year-old Jaden Pierre. All right. Who was killed out in St. Albans, Queens. 15 years old. Here it is. An unfortunate dilemma. It was a video that went viral. I won't show that video out of respect for Mr. Pierre's family and those who are grieving. I won't show it, but let's just get right. I'm going to give you an overview. The young man out there, an unfortunate fight arises. You have this kid who wants to be a show off and decides he wants to pistol whip Mr. Young Pierre. But the gun is not on safety, and a round goes up and shoots the young man in the head. He dies instantly. Then we have out in Nassau, East Meadow, Long Island, an unidentified 15-year-old male is gunned down, and it was gang related. You had a faction of the Bloods who had a picnic. Well, yep, some opponents, they came through. It got hectic, and that story is still pending. The young man who was murdered in that instance, his identity remains a mystery. Then we go out to Shreveport, Louisiana. We have Shamar Elkins, Army veteran, who gunned down 8 of his children and 2 women. One of them, his wife, and they say, case of domestic violence. And in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as of today, 5 young people shot in a shopping mall, with one of the victims dying. Then we had a mass shooting out in Patterson, New Jersey. A 12-year-old boy, gone. Then in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Lineback Park, 2 dead, gang-related shooting. Are y'all seeing the pattern? All right. Then we had a Chick-fil-A shooting. My God, man. Damn. And okay, ladies, let me give you all a public service announcement. If you deal with a man, right, he breaks your heart, he hurts you. Okay, I get it. But it is really unsightly to go after the woman that he chooses to be with, and then you have a big blowout brawl involving a bunch of girls. One of their girls got burned. We're gonna show you that video as well. It's bad. It's just bad. And then we have out of North Carolina, we have the killing of Shante Meekins, who was shot by Jada Bell over an argument over onion rings. Listen, it's like this, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a world, right, where in these last 30 years or plus, there are a lot of people who are on edge. They're losing everything. They have lost everything. Or they're just not in their right frame of mind. You have to be careful how you talk to people. Attitude counts. And things get all out of line and and out of whack. And in just 14 seconds or less, you can commit and pull an act that for the rest of your life, you are in a state of ruin. And then there's Harlem, New York. This story is still developing. There's a video we're going to show you. This has to be shown. This YN, this young punk. Oh yeah, fellas. Yeah, some of you guys, you gotta take off your mother's skirt and put back on your pants, man. This is ridiculous. If a woman don't want you, if she's not interested in you, she says no, then leave her alone. No, this fool, Harlem, New York, in my neck of the woods. This fool picks this child up, body slams her, and stomps on her head. He's still on the loose right now. We're going to show you and deal with all this, but look, this embracing of and worshiping death, as we covered on the first part of this show titled "The YN Culture Has to Go and Accountability is a Must." Look, there are certain things that we cannot blame on any other outside forces. Yes, we could talk about the psychology of slavery. We could talk about the residual effects of a mental illness that goes undiagnosed. We could talk about all that. But now, there come a time, and the time is now. My Black brothers, foundational Black Americans, and whoever else listening, that we must take responsibility and control of our destiny, our lives, and overall our babies to save them. To my millennial and Y generation, I'm going to apologize for some of the Gen X of my, generation who unfortunately took on this culture, which is not a culture, all right, of death. I don't give a F and rah, rah, rah. Again, I apologize. There's some of us who failed you. Unfortunately, some of these recording artists and other people of influence have allowed themselves to sell out for $1 and paint images and talk about shooting and killing and murdering like it's a good thing on many records. And yeah, we've heard the King Vons, Lil Durks, FBG Duck, and all these other colorful rappers who were talented, but again, had this love for necromancy and necrophilia, witchcraft and warlockery. And most of them are now all dead and gone. We've covered that before. XXXTentacion and so many others gunned down. Some before their 20th birthday, some before their 30th birthday. But the bottom line is, this YN culture got to go once and for all. All right? Don't ever let it be said that here on the Lion's Den, we're not willing to take the microscope of examination and put it on we as a people. We want to talk about Black Lives Matter. We have to demonstrate that. With this foolishness that we have allowed to seep into our culture, all these television so-called reality shows where black folk are carrying on, fighting young women, carrying on, fighting and acting a fool in the name of entertainment. But look at the reality and look at the cost of young impressionable minds who think this is the way to go. Look at the depravity that has now crept into our overall social and spiritual fabric. Our moral compass is severely broken. Now, we're not going to give you a sermon. Don't worry about that. I know we have some non-Bible believers or whatever, but look, we are ambidextrous where we could talk about the Bible without pulling the Bible. But we are in a crisis out here. And this is where we take up the banner of responsibility and stomp this YN culture, this gangster culture out once and for all. See, the Seventh Answer and myself, we always stress to our young folks listening. We want you now to become YS, young scholars. We want you to become YGs, young geniuses. To our young ladies listening, we don't need no baddies. We don't need no bad twitches. Well, you know the other B, the B word, but you know it sounds like twitches. We don't need that. We need for you to be beautiful and beneficent. We need for you to put on simply the YW, young woman, and carry yourself as a woman. Carry yourself in a respect-filled manner. Yes. Now, in reality, there are, unfortunately, certain times you may have to fight. You may have to go hands up, head up. But not every time. And not over petty and minuscule things. And then you put it out here for all the world to see. Thinking it's cool. It's not. It's not. It's embarrassing. It's utterly embarrassing and troubling. So we're going to go through a litany of different stories. We're going to show you, and the seventh answer you could pick. You could pick it at random. I can, give the backdrop on each video you pull. But you all, we have to get rid of this YN culture once and for all. We can't look for a program. We can't look for somebody else to do this. This is what we must do. We have to do a spiritual cleansing and acknowledge the fact that we have some severe issues that we must address. There's not a black man or woman, Foundation of Black American, whatever current name, to our Latinos and all those who are joining in and chiming in. Look, we are all in need of some kind of psychotherapy to break the chains that are on our minds to break this Willie Lynch demonic stronghold that has permeated us to the point where we think it's okay. World star and all this other, to put our food, to have the underbelly of our people carrying on, and that's just cool. It gets likes, it gets views. But people are dying out here. This necromancy, necrophilia, this embracing of making the devil your friend, it's costing us, and the cost is taxing. Sure, if you're an undertaker, if you work for a mortuary, there's plenty of money to be made, but come on, man. As the opening song Lady Karima laid out, this shouldn't be. All these stories that I outlined to you, many of the like I said, 15 years old, 12 years old. You have 8 children, all of them under 10 years of age. Come on, man. We cannot sit up here and pretend that we don't have a problem. And we can't continue to blame a white man or any other man. Okay, sure, we could say from a slavery standpoint and from a FBI, CIA standpoint, there was a deliberate and insidious program, not program, program, that's PROGROM, a deliberate plan to subvert the minds of we, the people. But now we got to take the responsibility. Oh my God, this video, yo, let me give you fair warning. Parental guidance. This is the case out of Harlem. This is an ongoing investigation. This fool hasn't been caught yet. Now, normally, we here on the Lion's Den, we're always very careful about what we say. But yo, he need his ass beat. I'm sorry. For real. I hope law enforcement catches him, because he need his ass whooped. Couldn't be my daughter. Couldn't be no woman in my family. Period. Run the video, Seventh Answer. This is disturbing. It's triggering. But this got to be shown. Go ahead, Seventh. Run the video, please.
Right? After that, I smack the shit out of you right now, right?
Do it.
No, you stand right here. No, you stand right here. You stand right here.
Oh no, she got your pussy.
Let's go to word. You got pussy.
Yo, no.
Right? After that, I smack the shit out of you right now, right?
Do it.
No, you stand right here. No, you stand right here. You stand right here.
Oh no, she got your pussy.
Let's go to word. You got pussy.
This punk motherfucker need his ass beat. Okay? I'm sorry, excuse me, yo. Yo, come on, man. I try to be as emotionally detached as possible. But on this one here, are you kidding me? All because she didn't want to give him his phone number. She didn't want to be bothered. She want to live her life and she don't need him. And the camera, the fact you had a male and female camera, I hope they get caught as accessories. He picked her up and pretty much gave her a tombstone power driver and a stomp on her head. This is the YN culture. This is what the depravity looks like. This is what when you allow foolishness and idiocy and lunacy to program our children. But still in all, he knew exactly what he was doing. You see why we say the YN culture gotta go? Excuse me, y'all, but y'all, come on, man. And to anybody out here in the 5 boroughs listening, don't. If you know who this is, call now, yo, turn him in. You'll be doing him a favor. Because believe me when I tell you, there's a lot of people out here that want to lay hands and feet on this fool. And to his father and mother, I feel sorry for you. In the book of Proverbs 3:17, I think it says, a fool for a son is a shame to his father, but he's a heaviness to his mother. Come on, man. I'm sorry I lost my cool, but come on, damn. Oh my God. And this one here. Okay, let's run the videotape, Seventh Answer, and we'll come right back. Man.
New tonight, charges are now filed against a suspect, a woman accused of shooting a fast food worker to death on the
Wow.
job. Good evening, I'm Russell in for more Harris. This for Meekins as families gathered just a day before her funeral. Our Jordan Burrell was the first to share with Meekins about Jeff's arrest. Meekins' father's when the news first came down. Jordan joins us now in the studio with more reaction. Jordan?
Russell, an emotional and major development in the investigation into Chauncey Meekins' murder. And tonight, I was there as her family learned the news in real time, right outside the restaurant where she was killed.
She fired several rounds from a handgun. Thank you, Jesus.
Honey. All day long, honey. Hey.
They're hearing and seeing Chauncey Meekins' father and other family members learned someone was charged in her killing.
Wow. Wow.
First Alert 4 was at the vigil Monday outside the Spanish Lake Steak and Shake on Bell Fountain Road, where Chauncey worked and ultimately lost her life. Police say the 32-year-old was shot and killed in the drive-thru on the night of April 8th. Her mother told First Alert 4 an argument started over onion rings. Monday, St. Louis County prosecutors announced this woman, 20-year-old Jada Bell, is charged with 6 felonies in this case, including first-degree murder and armed criminal action.
I seen my daughter as she's going to be laid to rest. She looked beautiful, and she looked happy right now. I didn't know why. But now I know why she happy. Because her crime have
Yeah, it's a little choppy, but you get the idea. Onion rings, y'all. An argument over onion rings. I'm sure ego inflamed and came about, but look, this gang culture. 20-year-old Jada Bell, her life is now ruined. And Miss Meekins, she lays dead. Because everybody want to be tough. Everybody want to be, you got the gangster dudes, you got the gangster girls. Everybody want to be gangster. Any fool can pull a trigger. But it takes a wise man, wise woman to recognize, look, some things just aren't worth losing your life, both figuratively and literally. It's no need for it. What's all this, what? You dissing me? The intellectual and emotional immaturity over words, ego. Okay, boom. I got your order wrong. I'll give you an extra bag of onion rings, or I'll give you an extra milkshake, whatever. I've worked in retail, I've worked in fast food, and there's de-escalating. We were taught in our time de-escalation skills. How to de-escalate. Excuse me. Because see, again, yeah, you hear in rap records and other content where it looks cool taking a life. You see all these shows, Power, Book Power 2, some of the shows that are out there now. Where I got murder on my mind, son. And of course, many of these shows give you unrealistic images and everything else. Because look, what they don't show you is that once you're caught, you're going to prison. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you don't go to prison, let's say you don't get caught, the mental fallout. See, there are a lot of people who I've come across in my lifetime who took lives, lost their minds. See, they don't show you that part. This is why among police officers is a high rate of suicide. Why? Because some of these officers, when they take someone's life, there's a higher form of justice that comes for you. All right? Now, this young man, former Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, his name was Justin Fairfax. I look at this as a cautionary tale. You got to be careful of what company you keep and what you do. He was a rising star. He had it going on. But we'll let the video speak for itself. But this YN culture, in all of its aspects, got to go. And here's why. Let's go to work, Seventh Dancer.
Star dead, accused of shooting and killing his wife Tonight, Virginia's former lieutenant governor, Justin Fairfax, a one-time rising Democratic star, dead, accused of shooting and killing his wife and then turning the gun on himself.
Self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
Police say Fairfax and his wife, Serena, were found dead from apparent gunshot wounds. The shootings reported by their teenage son.
In 2022, Justin Fairfax had taken money set aside for his children's horseback riding lessons and used it to buy a firearm. He was later found in a park with that same weapon and had to be talked down by someone who got there in time. The court flagged it. The legal system noted it. And Serena Fairfax knew all of this when she quietly installed cameras throughout her home during their divorce proceedings, not because she was paranoid, but because she was paying attention. When he called police in January claiming she had attacked him, the cameras proved he was lying. She was building a case to get herself and her children to safety. She had custody. She had a court order. She had a deadline on his departure. She had a Monday court date to finally end it, but she never made it to Monday. Welcome to Behind Dark Crime. This is where we tell the stories they wanted forgotten. Domestic violence, relationship murders, cases that went cold while families still wait for answers. Raw truth, no filter. If you're about that truth, subscribe and lock in with us. Now let's get into today's case. Serena Fairfax was a dentist. She had built a practice about 5 miles from the family home in Annandale, Virginia. She was described by everyone who knew her as kind, quiet, deeply professional, and completely devoted to her children. The court that oversaw her divorce proceedings found no evidence of inappropriate conduct on her part. The same court found that she maintained exceptional relationships with both of her teenage kids, a son and a daughter. She was the kind of mother the legal system looks at and says this woman is doing everything right. She had attended Duke University. That is where she and Justin Fairfax, two ambitious people building futures that looked extraordinary from the outside. She became a dentist. He became a politician. And for a while that picture held the way pictures do when two people see each other. Justin Fairfax was a man who carried the weight of expectation from early in his life. He was class president at DeMatha Catholic School. He graduated. He got a law degree from Columbia. He was charismatic, politically gifted in a way that his supporters recognized immediately. In 2017, he was elected Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, becoming only the second African American ever elected to statewide office in the Commonwealth. That was a historic moment, the kind of moment that gets written about, the kind of moment that made people around you say, this man is going somewhere. And he was. The Democratic Party in Virginia had its eyes on him. Colleagues and allies considered him a future governor, not a maybe, a when. Justin Fairfax was in his lane and moving fast. Let me tell you something. That rise was real. The talent was real. The history he made getting that far was real. And the fall that followed was just as real. In 2019, two women, Dr. Vanessa Tyson and Meredith Watson, came forward publicly and accused Justin Fairfax of sexually assaulting them.
We are hearing.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet
Women who
Those claims amplified this week by Republicans with a campaign ad
forcibly sexually assaulted and raped me.
featuring Tyson and Watson's interview on CBS This Morning earlier this
You
year.
have to hold someone down. It's not consensual.
A lot of people are wondering, why would these two women risk their own lives, their own safety, and publicly make these claims against you?
It's unfortunate because these claims are false.
So there's still that why.
You know, it's unfortunate. I can't claim to know, the exact motives in the minds of someone who would do that.
Justin denied both accusations. He called the encounters consensual. He refused to resign, despite calls from colleagues, including prominent Democrats. He was never criminally charged. But here's the part that matters for this story. The accusations did not just derail his political career, they broke something inside him. The court documents that would later come out in his divorce proceedings described what happened to Justin Fairfax after 2019 in language that is both clinical and devastating. He withdrew from family life. He stopped participating. He drank daily. His mental and emotional health deteriorated steadily. The judge overseeing the divorce wrote that Justin's isolation, drinking, and lack of participation in family life were manifestations of what seemed to be a sense of fatal schism and hopelessness. Fatal schism and hopelessness. Those are the words a judge put in a legal document to describe a man still living in the same house as his wife and children, still under the same roof, still present in body but gone in every other way that matters. Moving on because the deterioration had real consequences. In 2022, Justin Fairfax took money that had been set aside for his children's horseback riding lessons and used it to buy a detail quickly. That is a man taking money meant for his children's joy and convert it into weapon. He was later found part down and had to be talked down. The court noted it. His wife's legal team raised it. Everyone in that courtroom knew a gun existed and who bought it and how. Anyways, Serena filed for divorce in the summer of 2025. She told the court they had been separated since June of 2024, living in the same home but operating entirely separate lives. Virginia law allows what is called a same-roof separation, where two people can be legally separated while still sharing a residence, different rooms, no shared meals, no shared life. Just two people enduring the same square footage until the legal process could give them each a way out. The divorce proceedings were not clean. They were not quiet. They were a full legal battle with evidence, testimony, court orders, and a judge who was paying close attention to everything being presented. Serena testified about the drinking. She told the court that heavy daily alcohol consumption by her husband had become the norm. A man had completely withdrawn from to perform basic and emotionally absent from his children's lives despite living in the same house. The court looked at all of that and found it credible. The judge granted Serena full custody of their two teenagers and ordered Justin to vacate the family home by the end of April. He was also being fined $300 for every day he failed to comply with existing court orders. $300 a day, not a request. A court-imposed penalty for a man who was not following through on what the legal process had already decided. And then Serena installed the cameras. She set them up throughout the home during the divorce. People who heard about the cameras later asked why she did it. The answer is not complicated. She was living with a man the court had just described as isolated, drinking, and operating from a place of hopelessness. She was in the same house as a man who had bought a gun with money meant for her children. She was navigating a legal process that was slowly moving her towards safety while she was still physically inside the danger. The cameras were not paranoia. They were preparation. The kind of preparation a woman makes when she understands exactly what she is dealing with, and the legal system has not yet moved fast enough to fully protect her. In January of that year, Justin called police to the house and claimed Serena had assaulted him.
Too quiet. Turn your sound from 100% to 600% with volume max.
Serena had installed throughout the home, and they found exactly what those cameras showed. Nothing. The alleged assault never occurred. His claim did not hold. The cameras told the truth when his words did not. He called the police on his wife, tried to use the legal system to build a counter-narrative against the woman who was already in court, presenting documented evidence of his deterioration. And the cameras she had installed in her own home caught him in that lie. That is the kind of thing that tells you everything you need to know about what Serena was navigating inside that house every single day. The divorce trial to divide their marital assets was scheduled for Monday. Justin had just been served paperwork connected to that proceeding. The deadline for him to leave the home was the end of April. A man with a gun, a court closing in, a deadline approaching, a Monday court date on the calendar. Police Chief Kevin Davis would later say it plainly.
Former Lieutenant Governor Fairfax was recently served some paperwork associated with an upcoming court proceeding that apparently led to this incident last night.
Just after midnight on a Sunday, the night before that Monday court date, Justin Fairfax shot his wife in their basement. He shot her multiple times. Then he ran to a different part of the house. He went upstairs to the primary bedroom, and he shot himself with the same gun. Their 2 teenage children were inside the house when it happened. The son called 911. He told the dispatcher he thought his father had stabbed his mother, that she was bleeding, and that he did not know where his father was. He did not know the full truth of what he was calling about. He just knew something was deeply wrong inside his own home, and that he needed help. When officers arrived and pieced together what had happened, they quickly realized who was involved. The former Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, his wife, their children, and a gun that had been purchased 3 years earlier, money meant for horseback riding lessons. Police Chief Kevin Davis confirmed it publicly.
I'm here to confirm the identity of our shooter, murder-suicide 7 years ago, as former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. Former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife inside of their home and then shot and killed himself.
Serena Fairfax was shot multiple times in the basement. Justin Fairfax was found in the primary bedroom with a self-inflicted gun wound to the head. Like she was in the basement. They were found in separate detail that says something about what happened. Teenagers watched police fill their home overnight. They watched their parents' bodies be removed. Their son had been the one to make the call that brought all of it into motion. The police chief said it himself. It was extra tragic that they were actually in the home when it occurred. The children went to stay with relatives. When Fairfax County Police arrived at a home on Guinevere Drive, they were responding to a 911 call from a child who thought his father had stabbed his mother. What they found, something different in method, but identical in outcome. Serena Fairfax shot multiple times in the basement. Justin Fairfax dead upstairs in the primary bedroom from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The weapon, the same gun used on both. Police Chief Kevin Davis was direct with the press the following morning. He said the investigation itself was cut and dry in terms of who the shooter was. It would set him off. The full picture of what led to that moment was going to take longer to fully understand. He did not have to look far. The court documents were already there. The cameras were already there. The paper trail of a marriage collapsing under the weight of alcoholism, isolation, financial failure, and escalating legal pressure was all documented. The cameras Serena had installed throughout the home became part of the investigative record immediately. Police already knew about them from the January incident when Justin called claiming she had assaulted him, and the footage proved otherwise. Now those same cameras had captured was to the shoot. What exactly they recorded has not been fully disclosed publicly as investigators worked through the evidence. The police also addressed a question that comes up in a profile domestic case. Had officers been called to before? The answer was yes. Once, January. Justin calling on Serena, cameras disproving his account. That was the only prior documented incident at that time. No calls from Serena, no restraining order on record, no protective order in place. Just a woman navigating a contentious divorce while living under the same roof as a man the court had flagged as dangerous, and doing it largely alone. The morning after the shooting, the neighborhood was filled with investigators. Detectives were seen removing items from the home, backpack, cosmetics, ordinary belongings of two teenagers whose lives had just been permanently altered. Neighbors stood outside trying to process what had happened on their block. People who had seen Justin and Serena in passing described them as sociable, smiling, community-minded. Nobody in the neighborhood saw this coming to the degree that it arrived. Neighbors captured the community's disbelief and grief in one sentence.
It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. The kids, like the poor kids. And what a selfish act to do that to your children.
That word, selfish. It cuts right to the core of what a murder-suicide in a home with children actually is. It is not tragedy in the abstract. It is a specific choice made by one person that destroyed 4 lives in a single night. Serena's, his own, and the 2 teenagers who will spend the rest of their lives carrying what they heard and saw and felt inside that house. Now, here is the part of this that domestic violence experts who spoke after the fact have been saying years. And Serena Fairfax's case is one of the clearest illustrations of it that we have seen in recent memory.
I think it's important for people to know that when they're thinking of leaving, when they recently left, or they're recently separated, that's actually the most dangerous time. That's when someone might feel they're losing their power and losing their control, and things can escalate.
Serena had done everything a woman is told to do when she is trying to leave safely. She got a lawyer, she went to court, she documented the drinking, she installed cameras, she testified, she won custody, she was weeks away from having her home back. And she still did not make it. Like, that is the conversation that needs to happen every time a story like this comes out. Not just the shock of who was involved, not just the headlines about the former lieutenant governor. The conversation about what Serena was up against and why the systems around her could not close the gap fast enough. Keisha Koch, the division director of Fairfax County's Domestic and Sexual Violence Services, said something important in the aftermath. She noted that the moment someone feels they are losing power and losing control is the moment things can escalate. That is exactly what the court documents described happening to Justin Fairfax, a man who had lost his political career, his public reputation, his marriage, his custody of his children, and was about to lose the roof over his head. A man the judge had described as operating from a place of fatal schism and hopelessness, and a man with a gun. Make it make sense. The judge wrote the word fatal in a legal opinion about this man's mental state. Before anyone died, the system saw what was coming and still could not stop it in time. The statement that cut through everything else in this case, the attorney for Meredith Watson, 2 women who accused in Fairfax before. After learning about the murder-suicide, she said, there were decades of sins of his anger and mistreatment of women, and he used the court system to intimidate his victims and news outlets. Society must be more responsive when women report these crimes. Decades of signs. That is a woman's attorney, speaking on behalf of a woman who came forward publicly and was dragged for it, saying plainly that what happened to Serena Fairfax did not arrive without warning, that the pattern was there, that women had tried to name it, and that the response they received was not protection, it was discrediting. His accusers were never charged with anything. Justin was never charged with anything. But the pattern of behavior that both women described, and that Serena's divorce court documents, corroborated through a completely different set of facts, tells a story about a man who had a relationship with anger and control that predated Monday's court date by decades. We are not adjudicating the sexual assault cases here. That is not what this story is about. The legal outcomes, or lack of them, are on the record. But the statement from Watson's attorney belongs in this story because it belongs to the full picture of who Serena Fairfax was living with. And it belongs to the broader conversation about what happens when women report, and the response is silence or dismissal. And then there was his friend Barnes. He posted on Facebook after the news broke, and wrote something that a lot of people in Justin's circle were feeling but could not articulate. He said, "Damn, Fairfax was my showed up." His circle said publicly after this happened, he was loved by people who knew a version of him, and he killed his wife at home. Both of those things are true, and the second one cannot be softened by the first. Serena Fairfax was 45 years old. She was a dentist, a mother, a woman who had filed for divorce because she had no expectation or hope of reconciliation, and she wanted her life back. She had built her case in court with documentation and testimony and installed cameras in her own home because she understood the level of risk she was operating under. She won full custody of her children. A judge ordered her husband out of her home. She had a Monday court date to finalize the division of their assets. She was weeks away from the other side of this. She never got there. Her children, a teenage boy and a teenage girl, are now being raised by relatives. They lost both parents in a single night. Their son was the one who called 911. Whatever that experience has put inside him will be something he carries for the rest of his life. His sister, too. They watched investigators remove their backpacks and lacrosse sticks from a home that is now a crime scene. They went to stay somewhere else because their house is where it happened. The domestic violence expert who spoke in the aftermath said something that is worth repeating here. She said that one of the best things a safety plan can include is a go bag, packed and placed at a friend's house or in a car for the moment someone needs to flee. She said to keep your phone charged. She said to connect with local domestic and sexual violence services who can help build individualized plans. Serena Fairfax had done the planning. She had cameras. She had the looks. She had the court orders. She had custody of her children. She had a deadline on his departure. She was doing everything right. And still, the gap between what the law could do and what happened in that basement was the space where she lost her life. If you or someone you know is in a situation familiar to anything in this story, please reach out. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours a day at 1-800-79-97233.
Right. Now, some may say, well, what does this have to do with the YN? Here's the thing. Here's a correlation. Here's a young man, rising star, doing his thing, career-oriented, goal-oriented, had a beautiful home, wife, all that. And yet here he is, wanting to be a player, not being dedicated, not being faithful to his wife. Gets caught up in these extramarital affairs. Now they claim he sexually assaulted them. No criminal charges ever came about. But my point is, he cheated. Wanted to be a player, wanted to be out there, not satisfied with his faithful woman at home. See, that's also one of those YN cultures. Look, man, responsibility is responsibility. And when you're a public figure, especially, like when I do this show, and when I've done other shows that I've done, there's some people who know how I look. I recognize that though I may not be on a super large platform, but I've experienced where I've been out here taking a walk in the 2-3 o'clock in the morning and someone recognized me. You never know who's watching. So this young man threw away his whole life. Everything. Trying to be what he wasn't. Instead of just staying focused on his career, his faithful wife, his beautiful children. You see why this YN culture got to go? Being a player? Please. Nothing cool about it, y'all. And like I said, I watched this young man. He was very impressive. And it hurts to see such tremendous talent go to waste. But again, a cautionary tale. But here on the Lion's Den, we're going to tackle everything the way it should be tackled. Because we got to get rid of this YN culture, this irresponsible culture. Because it's not a culture. It is a culture is any practice, a belief system of belief that brings about life and productivity and a continuity for generations to come for a particular people. Being a nigger is not culture. Carrying on and conducting yourself like a wild, untamable, abominable, demonic-filled beast is not culture. And we have to knock this out the box once and for all. Because what are we going to pass on to future generations? This is why our young people right now are in a state of hopelessness now. Or wild bulls, or wild bulls in a net, as the Bible says. So if you're just tuning in, we want to welcome to the Lion's Den. We're your host, the Seventh Answer, Lady Karima, and I am Dark Storm. We're talking about, do you see why the YN culture has to go, which is a follow-up to a show we did just 3 to 4 weeks ago, where we talked about it's time for we as a people to take accountability. Or we can't continue to blame white or anyone else for some things that we're doing that we should not be doing, and we know, and especially when we know that there are other outside forces that have pushed this poison into our way of life. But now we have to destroy it. And there is no other way. There's no negotiating. There is no making the devil your friend. We got to stomp the devil all the way out. We here in the Lion's Den, we don't want young men. We don't want you to be young niggas. We want you to be young scholars, young geniuses. Again, to our sisters out there, we want you to be beautiful and beneficent in how you walk, talk, and you carry yourself. Class. Because image, ladies and gentlemen, is everything. Make no mistakes. Let me see, we have Eugene Dawson. You said, that's not YN culture. His action in regard to the women is a result of the suppression of polygamy in the Western world. You know something? I get where you're coming from, Mr. Dawson, about the whole polygamy thing, but listen, how about this? Because we're living in a society where being a husband to one woman is put forth, it makes sense. Because you know why? A lot of men, a lot of brothers, you're not fulfilling the emotional needs of one woman that you have. So why are you trying to get 1, 2, 3, 4 in the name of polygamy, all right, under your wing? And here, for a lot of brothers, they don't even know how to meet the needs of the one woman they've been gifted to have. Okay, I hear all polygamy, polygyny, or whatever names they have, but come on, man. A lot of that be a lot of men out here just being absolutely irresponsible. The dude was irresponsible. Okay? He threw caution to the wind, and then these ladies accused him of sexually assaulting him. Assaulting them. He was reckless, and this is the problem. Before you go out here dealing with multiple women, look, how about you satisfy and love the one woman you're with? I'm just saying. We have a difference of opinion on that issue, but like I said, I've seen a lot of that whole talk about having more than one woman and more than one wife from a lot of brothers. And all that really was just a guys to go out here and be a whoremonger. Get with different assortment of women and don't take care of any of them on any level. See, even the YN culture creeping into certain righteous and so-called righteous environments is just a thought, Mr. Dawson. Just a thought. Okay, you said that those women could have been lying. But how about this? He still cheated on his wife, and she wasn't happy. If she was happy with him, it wouldn't have been no trying to file for filing for divorce, separation, and her trying to get an exit plan in effect. As his mental and everything went to absolute darkness and hell. Your counterpoint is interesting, but still, give it careful consideration. The move she was making was not the signs of a happy woman. And again, all this irresponsibility and him cheating on her. See that part. Yes, the woman may have been lying. Thus, no criminal charges were ever filed. But the bottom line is he cheated. And here he is, a public figure, lieutenant governor. Like I said, I've seen him before in certain environments and discussions. And let's just say the Lord, he's not mocked. You can't be out here talking about, on the one hand, sexual responsibility and being about family values, and then you out here carrying on like a scoundrel. Okay? Hypocrisy at its finest. Give that thought. Hypocrisy, not a good thing. So like I said, we want you to be here on the Lions Den. We calling for our young men, young scholars, young geniuses, our ladies to be beautiful and beneficent, because see, again, This YN culture got to go. In this particular context, we can't blame white America or nobody else for the things that we're doing to each other. This has got to stop. And it stops now. But let me see now. Let me see. Oh, okay. You realize the Bible prophesies that in the end time, 7 women will come to one man asking him to marry them. She was not. Okay. That time ain't right now, though, brother. That's what I'm saying. If that prophecy is being broken down in proper context. I don't want to get too far off the subject, but you're saying she was not happy because she and the other women were Western monogamous and wanted to be the only wife? Well, how about this, brother? When you vow to be a man in the areas of your word being your bond, your word should be your bond at all times. Wouldn't you agree? Here he was, again, a public figure, lieutenant governor. He's being watched. In this political spectrum and public spectrum, there's no room for error. Okay? Also, when you read scripturally, if you want to go there, not every man was given more than one woman in his stable. There were plenty of brothers who had only one wife. See, let's not forget that. The Bible does say, hey, a loving and silent woman or wife is given as a gift to a man, not wives, wife. Hell, look at, you had certain men that had more than one. And even in that, there wasn't happiness. But still, your counterpoints are welcome, and thank you for your conversation. But the bottom line is, like I said, we're going to, oh, yeah. Now, this one here. On that note, sir, this video is in perfect unison with what we're talking about. Look, ladies, listen. If a man don't want you, if he chooses to leave you and move on with his life without you in it, do not reduce yourself to being out of control, jealous dummy. This here is just utterly embarrassing. And this whole bad bitch culture, and everyone, women out here carrying on gang fighting over a man that don't want you. Run the video, Seventh Answer. Run the video. When you're ready, Seventh Answer.
wasn't. So we looked at you right there. We looked at you right there. Maya, come on, Maya's fighting. Come on. Let her go, Maya's fighting. Mirror, drive. Can you help me separate them, please? He's getting beat to birth in the corner. Oh, shit. Let me go.
Now, let me look. Stop the video for a second, if you don't mind. I'll make it quick. Let me get a quick background.
Wait,
All right. Now, for the girl that was in the red, brown, yellow striped shirt, she was the girl that was jilted by a guy who was going for the young lady in the blue and white striped shirt who's up against the wall. She came there, or she stalked down Maya, the one with the blue and white striped shirt on. She stalked her, came with her girls, and, Maya had her girls, and they had a whole 702. Where my girls at? He trying to take my man. I don't need that. Give me a break, man. And the melee you saw took place. See, this YN culture. Because, gentlemen, when we're out of line, our women are going to follow suit. This is ridiculous. Fist, weave, and everything else flying over a man, over a guy, and where he chooses to be, and who he chooses to be with. See, that culture, that misplaced demonic culture, I'm going to add. And we got to put a stop to this, man. It's got to go. There were some other videos I could have included, but it don't take much. You can go Google or YouTube and World Star, and you see how young women are carrying on out here. Worse than the men in the area of gang fighting these days. It makes me, like, come on, man. Really? Let me see who's talking real quick. All right. Okay. But my point is, y'all, we got to do better. We're going to continue on. Take a look at these stories, y'all.
News, our nation saw its deadliest mass shooting in years when a Louisiana man shot and killed 8 children this morning. Tonight, we're learning more about that gunman, Shamar Elkins, who was the father of 7 of those 8 slain children. Tonight, the community of Shreveport has been left shattered. The children, 3 boys and 5 girls, ranging in age from
2 houses at a police chase. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pauline live with new details tonight. Tim?
Liz Jory, we now know the names of the 8 kids shot and killed, and we're also learning that the shooter had ties to the military and was known to police. This is a Facebook image of the Louisiana man law enforcement believe is a cold-blooded killer. Shreveport police identifying him as Shamari Elkins, the alleged gunman who shot and killed 8 kids. At least 7 of them were his own flesh and blood. The coroner released their names, a total of 7 siblings and a cousin ranging in age from 3 to 11, Jayla, Shayla, Kayla, Layla, Markaden, Soraya, Kedarian, and Braylon. Neighbors mourned their deaths at the crime scene.
This is not a freaking joke. This is real. And this is the result when someone snaps.
Police are still trying to determine what motivated the shooting. The attack began before sunrise when police say the suspect shot a woman at one home and then drove to another house to unleash more violence.
The gray house is the house in which 7 children were located. There was an additional deceased child that looked like he had tried to escape the residence out the back on the roof.
Officers say a second woman was shot and is believed to be the mother of the suspect's children. Both women are now in the hospital in critical condition. Officers fired at the suspect during a chase after he carjacked the vehicle at gunpoint. ABC News reporting the 31-year-old joined the Louisiana National Guard in 2013 and served 7 years without being deployed. The shooting took place in House Speaker Mike Johnson's district. He offered thoughts and prayers to the family. The shooting impacting people beyond Louisiana. The mayor of Shreveport highlighting that in his statement that reads in part, "Tragedy like this does not belong to one family alone. It belongs to all of us. Today, our community is grieving the unimaginable loss of innocent children. There are no words that can make sense of it and no distance that shields us from it."
Take out this evil out of our nation, out of our parish, out of our city, out of our lives, God. We know mental illness is real, God.
This attack considered one of the deadliest mass shootings in Louisiana. The community asking for prayers.
This community needs you. I need you. Because how do we get through this?
According to the FBI, domestic violence crimes are up. Between 2020 and 2024, law enforcement reported more than 11,000 domestic violence murder victims. In this case, investigators are still trying to figure out what led up to this shooting. Tim Pulliam.
What led up to evil? That's what. Being evil. Being mean. Okay, we could tie it into mental illness. We could tie it in. Look, man. What it all boils down to answer that woman's question, how can we rid ourselves of this? Look, when we take up the banner of spiritual responsibility. Now, some of you are not Bible believers. I get that. We're not here to try to force that on anybody. But as far as I'm concerned, and the seventh answer, within the laws and commandments simply of thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not be a dummy, thou shalt not be a nigger, and conduct yourself all out of order, we all for that. That's how you get rid of it. And stop looking for outside, stop looking for your enemies who put this condition on you to be the ones to help you overcome what they put upon you. That's how we gonna get rid of it. Okay, as we move on, we're gonna go to Paterson, New Jersey. Like I said, this is inexcusable. Damn. Within a week's time, we're gonna take it to Paterson, New Jersey, y'all. Roll the video, Seventh Answer.
New Jersey. 4 people shot. One of them is dead. Hello, I'm Joe Torres. Tanya is off tonight. That violence erupted about 6:30 this evening in broad daylight near the intersection of East 29th Street and 10th Avenue in Paterson. In the area, a child's birthday party. Neighbors who live in the area are tonight frustrated and angry. They spoke with Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo.
Well, a local councilman here tonight tells us that one of the victims injured in this multiple shooting was a minor. A very troubling night for the people of Paterson.
Children gasped in horror at the sound of rapid gunfire. They were just about to sing happy birthday to their 13-year-old friend at her backyard party, but instead of blowing out the candles, they ducked for cover when they heard gunshots in the distance.
Just hearing it was scary to witness, to hear, especially on my birthday, like a time where I'm trying to play with my friends, get together.
We're not showing the 13-year-old's face, but spoke to her with her mother's permission. The gunfire erupted at the corner of East 29th Street and 10th Avenue in Patterson at 6:30 in the evening.
I have a friend who was there, who I saw what happened. He was going to the bodega. He went running back, but he saw two people come out of a car and then shoot, but it was like an automatic gun.
Bystanders watched in shock and panic as first responders treated the victims, one of them lying in the street next to a car, another on the ground next to a bicycle.
4 people got injured and, and 1 was deceased.
Local councilman Luis Velez says the city of Patterson has taken measures to reduce crime in this part of town, what he calls a hotspot, in part by installing security cameras. But he encourages the community to cooperate.
Some people see corners getting built up, they see activities, they're afraid to come out and say something. But our police department is trained to keep it confidential and approach to bring the quality of life in this area.
This 13-year-old hopes her next birthday party is not ruined by the sound of gunshots.
First, we thought it was fireworks, but then we heard sirens and everything. And then everybody started going home because they were scared.
Right now, the Passaic County Prosecutor's Office is investigating along with Patterson Police. No word on any arrests. In Patterson.
Yeah, we're back. But this goes beyond installing cameras. We have to address the nucleus. Yeah. Okay, if we have mental illness going on, if we have just being goofy or playing goofy and embracing this culture of depravity, it has to be addressed and stomped out once and for all. We can't go on like this. This is all within a week's time, y'all. Back to back. A 12-year-old child gone. And 3 of us wounded. Look, I get all the mental illness, but look, damn it all, there's some people out here who are just plain evil and mean. And need to be handled. I'm not talking about any corporal or capital handling. But they need to be corralled and given some serious attitude adjustment and correction. Our moral compass needs to be fixed, and I mean fixed immediately. Because again, it's not only senseless, but I'm gonna keep hammering home. It's embarrassing. See, righteous culture would have you be instilled with a sense of pride. The Seventh Answer and myself, we always advocate that we roll with pride because we're always permanently ready and destroying evil. Starting with our own PRIDE. And this is done by taking on the responsibility of recognizing, your angel and your demons. Your ticks to bring about the right talk. All right, because we can't go on like this. Now, this is concerning the shooting in the I believe it's Jaden Pierre, or the shooting in the park in East Long Island, New York. East Meadow, Long Island, New York. Out of Nassau. Run the video, Seventh Answer. Let's run the video.
We need investment. We need resources. We need people to be just coming together and lead with love.
Two 15-year-olds shot and killed in 2 days. We begin now in St. Albans, Queens, where a teen was shot on a basketball court. Today, New York's Romney Smith is there live with the latest. Romney, good morning.
You know, right now, no arrests have been made, and police are still searching for the suspect. They say was last seen wearing a gray sweatsuit outfit and white sneakers. And this shooting all unfolded on Thursday evening when a lot of kids were simply playing basketball on a court at Roy Wilkins Park. Police say an argument turned into a physical fight. During the fight, someone pulled out a gun and shot 15-year-old Jaden Pierre once in the chest. After getting the 911 call around 6:15, first responders took the teenage victim to Jamaica Hospital in critical condition, but he died from his injury later.
On Long Island, 2 people are facing charges in the shooting death of a 15-year-old boy. A 17-year-old suspect appeared in court on weapons charges yesterday. Prosecutors say he was seen running from the park after ditching a handgun that was the same type of weapon used in the shooting. Police say the barbecue advertised on social media at Nassau County's Eisenhower Park was organized by the Bloods gang. The shots were fired after some sort of argument on Wednesday night.
We got to stop these killings. And we need us all to come together. We need investment. We need resources. We need people to be just coming together and lead with love.
Sure. We need investments. Look, ain't no program gonna solve this. We need a spiritual cleansing, a spiritual enema. We need to get our barometer of being responsible in raising our children and raising ourselves properly. See, again, all these parents today, you want to be your children's friend instead of laying down parental guidance. This is why you have all these young men and women, young women, following bad examples, television-wise, making it cool and fashionable to be tough, to be a killer. You know, I'll lay niggas down. This is another part of the Jaden Pierre shooting. We're gonna run it, and I'll come right back and continue this discussion. Lions Den, y'all. The conversation continues. Take it away, Seventh Answer.
Just released in the search for who shot and killed a 15-year-old in St. Albans, Queens. What began as a basketball game turned violent, ending in gunfire in broad daylight inside of Roy Wilkins Park. Eyewitness News reporter Krista McNally spoke with the victim's aunt and joins us live in St. Albans with the latest on the investigation. Krista?
Well, people here at Roy Wilkins Park were sad and stunned to find out that a 15-year-old was shot and killed here last night. Now take a look over here. Police just put these posters all around the park in hopes that someone might recognize the alleged shooter, because that gunman is still on the loose. Newly released photos from the NYPD show the alleged gunman that police are searching for.
I'm shocked. I'm genuinely shocked. Like literally, when I literally bring my son here every day.
According to police, a large fight broke out on the basketball court just after 6 on Thursday night. They say one shot was fired and Jaden Pierre was struck in the chest.
I came running over here to make sure everybody was okay, especially my friends. And I seen a kid lying dead.
The 15-year-old was taken to the hospital but could not be saved.
Kids nobody don't know how to act no more.
It's pretty like dismal and sad and like disheartening, but I mean, it doesn't happen too much.
The other young people who were at the park scattered, and the gunman is still on the loose, according to police. Queensborough President Donovan Richards released a statement saying, in part, the pain of losing Jaden Pierre to gun violence at 15 years old is indescribable.
Younger and younger, they're getting guns now. You know, what can we do?
We spoke with Pierre's aunt, who was too distraught to talk on camera. With tears in her eyes, she described him as her favorite nephew and just such a sweet kid. A woman who knew Pierre visited the park this morning. She described him as energetic and someone who looked out for others.
He was very inviting to my son every time my son ever played basketball with him. This could have been prevented. Everyone that stood by and watched, they had a moral obligation to say, y'all stop. It's not that serious.
The motive in this case is still unclear, but we're told it may be gang-related.
Hopefully this awareness can do something different for all the other kids who come here too.
No arrests have been made, and police are reviewing video of the suspect allegedly running away. That is the latest.
Yeah, we're back. Listen, I'm going to say this here, right? I had a viral video of that particular shooting. It's bad, y'all. And you know what I'm going to say? The young man who hit Mr. Pierre in the chest, like I said, he's showing off. Want to pistol whip the kid. Gun wasn't on safety. Shot goes off, and where I thought it was a headshot, it was a chest shot. But the kid was stunned. I could see that he didn't mean for that to happen. But again, it doesn't matter. Because now this young man is dead and gone. And my condolences to the Pierre family. But the bottom line is, look, this is why we said this YN culture has got to go. And we must take accountability. It is clear our moral compass, moral structure must be reestablished. Ain't no programs are going to solve this. Nothing but a complete spiritual overhaul are going to solve this. And like I said, it bothers me to my soul to have to sit up here and report and bring out these issues, because these are issues that should have been long solved. Before my time, we had a great many people out here, Malcolm X, Huey Newton, Fred Hampton, Charles Hampton, Fannie Lou Hamer, Shaka Khan. Yeah, that's Shaka Khan, the same guy. Shaka Khan, Bobby Hutton, okay? And so many other brothers and sisters who are trying their best. Well, some will say, well, brother, they wasn't Israelites, so they didn't have the truth. Look, man, please, spare me that, okay? They did have the understanding that a moral structure needed to be in place. And leading by example and not allowing the FBI and CIA and other government programs of that time to interfere with our children and how we were being raised. They understood that, but many of them were cut down, assassinated, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we have this incident. I'll let it speak for itself. Run the video, Seventh Answer.
Get down. Get with her. Get with her. Janaya whoop this whole ass. Hey, bud. Bruh. This was Charlie. Get your ass.
And there you go.
Tuesday night, August 20th, 2024, 10:09 p.m. The call that came into Birmingham Police East Precinct was logged as shots fired. By the time officers arrived at 2900 Gallant Drive, the Monarch Ridge Apartments in the Apple Valley neighborhood of East Birmingham, Alabama, the shooting had already stopped. The smoke had already stopped. A 21-year-old mother named Asia Alice Poole was lying on the ground, unresponsive, with gunshot wounds that nurses who happened to be on the scene had already confirmed were unsurvivable.
Wow.
They checked for her pulse. There was none. Birmingham Fire and Rescue arrived and made it official at 10:31 p.m. Asia Alice Poole was dead. In the parking lot surrounding that breezeway, the investigators would go on to recover 168 shell casings. 168. Let that number sit for a moment. Not because it is the most important fact in this story, though it tells you something profound about the level of violence that descended on that complex that night, but because it forces you to picture what those 22 minutes between 10:09 and 10:31 p.m. actually looked like. It forces you to picture the parking lot, the screaming, the smoke, the glass, the 50 people who had been standing in that space moments before, scattering in every direction. It forces you to picture Asia's best friend, Damarian Rankins, dragging himself across that concrete with a bullet in his leg, trying to get her to safety. It forces you to picture two nurses rushing to a young woman in a breezeway and pressing their fingers to her neck and finding nothing. 168 rounds, and only one person died. That is not luck. That is chaos. The specific, terrifying kind that happens when multiple armed people start shooting in every direction without coordination or conscience. But to understand what happened that night, you have to go back further. Because August 20th, 2024 did not arrive without warning. It built, slowly, the way that tragedies always build. In small moments that individually seem manageable, until suddenly they are not. Welcome to Cold Case 365. Thank you to our incredible subscribers for being here. May your families stay safe and the connection stretching back years. A history the city of Birmingham knew about, had sued over, and had ultimately failed to address with any real accountability. Asia was a single mother. Her daughter, Araya, was 4 years old and had just started pre-kindergarten that same week. The image of that, a little girl with a new backpack starting school while her mother's last days were quietly counting down, is the kind of detail that lodges itself somewhere behind your chest and refuses to move. Asia had already lost so much before August 20th ever arrived. Her own mother had passed away in 2017. And then, on July 26th, 2024, just 25 days before Asia was killed, Araya's father died. He was also 21 years old. He died from natural causes, leaving behind a 4-year-old daughter and a young mother who was now carrying everything alone. By the time Asia walked into that parking lot on August 20th, Araya had already lost one parent. Within the month, she would lose both. In 25 days, that 4-year-old child became an orphan. Her maternal grandmother already gone, her father gone, and now her mother, the last person standing between her and a world completely without family, gone too. If you feel something reading that, good. Hold on to it. Because that is who Asia Alice Poole was. Not a statistic, not a case number, a mother, a daughter, the last line of defense for a little girl who deserved so much more than the hand she was dealt. The conflict that ended Asia's life did not start with gunfire. It started, the way so many of these stories do now, on a screen. An ongoing dispute between Asia and a 19-year-old woman named Jania Hendricks had been building on social media for weeks. At the root of it was something achingly human and utterly ordinary. A shared romantic interest, the kind of conflict that plays out on timelines across the country every single day, most of the time dissolving into nothing more serious than unfollowed accounts and mutual avoidance. But Jania Hendricks was the younger sister of a 20-year-old man named Justin Hendricks. And on the night of August 20th, 2024, Jania's group made the decision to take what had been living on social media and bring it to the physical world. They came to Monarch Ridge. They came looking for Asia. By the time the confrontation took shape in the parking lot, approximately 50 people were gathered in and around that space. 50. This was not a private dispute playing out quietly between two women. This was a crowd, an audience, an atmosphere already thick with the specific kind of tension that only ever tips in one direction. Asia, perhaps sensing what was coming, had started her own Facebook Live video from the parking lot before the confrontation even fully escalated. The stream was live. People were watching in real time. The brawl started near Asia's vehicle. Video captured Jania and Asia fighting on the hood of a car, and one voice off camera, to caught clearly on the live stream, called out Jania by name. A seemingly small detail. The kind of thing that sounds insignificant in the moment. The kind of thing that 3 days later would help BPD SWAT officers walk up to a family member's front door and make their first arrest. The fight pushed from the parking lot into the breezeway of one of the apartment buildings, and for just a moment, it appeared to be breaking up. Bodies were being separated. The worst, it seemed, had been avoided. It had not. Someone came from a second breezeway and opened fire. Then shots erupted from another direction, then another. Multiple people who had not even been part of the original confrontation produced weapons and joined in, as though the first gunshot had been a starting pistol. Police Chief Scott Thurmond later confirmed that the evidence pointed to multiple simultaneous shooters. Witnesses describing masked individuals armed with Glock switches and assault-style rifles. This was not spontaneous. The masks said so. The weapons said so. The 168 shell casings scattered across the parking lot and breezeway of Monarch Ridge Apartments said so. Asia and Demarion Rankins hit the ground. Rankins got them both to their feet and pushed toward the breezeway of Asia's own apartment building. Asia didn't make it inside. She collapsed. The nurses found no pulse. The East Precinct officers found her at 10:09 p.m. Birmingham Fire and Rescue pronounced her dead at 10:31 p.m. Demarion Rankins was transported to UAB Hospital with a bullet wound in his leg. He would survive physically, and he would spend 2 days in that hospital before being discharged, returning to the world on crutches with a hollow look in his eyes that no hospital could treat. While Asia lay dead in that breezeway, Janiyah Hendricks did not stay. She climbed into Asia's own Ford sedan. The engine was already running, and drove away. The escape was captured on video, too. 3 minutes down Centerpoint Parkway, she abandoned the car in the parking lot of a J Wings restaurant and disappeared. The car was recovered. The casings were collected. Resident Ariana Smith came home to find 7 bullet holes punched through the walls of her apartment. She had left for the store 3 minutes before the shooting. 3 minutes. Resident Alicia Garrett had been inside when it started. "We all got on the floor," she said. "Nobody has been able to rest. But if we hear certain noises or open doors, everybody gets scared." And then came the detail that turned grief into outrage. Police Chief Scott Thurmond confirmed that despite surveillance cameras lining the Monarch Ridge complex, not a single one of them had been feeding live into the BPD Real-Time Crime Center on the night Asia was killed. They were supposed to be. A legally binding 2021 court settlement had required the complex owners, Steel Valley Brook, to maintain exactly that connection as a direct response to the building's well-documented history of violence. BPD had responded to over 300 calls at this complex in the prior 2 years. 300 calls. And the camera system that was supposed to be watching had been allowed to go dark without consequence. Asia Alice Poole was Birmingham's 102nd homicide of 2024. The city would end that year with 160 total, a historic high. Sergeant Laquita Wade stood before cameras the morning after and said what needed to be said and what nobody wanted to hear. It is alarming the amount of people present that did not intervene to keep it from happening. 50 people in that parking lot, hundreds watching live on Facebook, and Asia was still dead. But here is what those killers did not account for. Every phone that had been pointed at that parking lot, every live stream that had been running, every clip shared, every frame saved. The evidence was not sitting in a locked room waiting to be discovered. It was already on the internet. If Asia's story matters to you, if Araya's story matters to you, subscribe. Because silence is what let this happen. Don't be silent. The detectives were already watching, and they were not alone. Birmingham did not sleep that night. By the time the sun came up on August 21st, 2024, the videos were everywhere. Shared, reposted, screenshotted, dissected in comment sections by strangers who had never set foot in Apple Valley, and by neighbors who had been standing 20 feet from Asia Alice Poole when she fell. The footage moved faster than the news. It moved faster than the police statements. And somewhere inside the Birmingham Police Department, detectives were watching all of it. Every angle, every clip, every secondhand recording of a recording, and building something from it that the killers had never anticipated. A case. Mayor Randall Woodfin did not wait for a press conference. Out on the morning of August 21st, he went directly to Facebook, the same platform that had broadcast Asia's final minutes to the world, and posted a statement that bypassed every layer of political language that usually cushions these moments. Last night on private property at Valley Brook Apartments, a physical fight led to a barrage of gunfire, and a young mother was left dead. And then the ultimatum, plain and unambiguous. The shooters have two options. They can immediately turn themselves into Birmingham police, or be hunted down by BPD and U.S. Marshals. No negotiation, no softening. A mayor publicly telling killers that the clock had already started and that it was not running in their favor. At Monarch Ridge, residents gathered in small, exhausted clusters outside their bullet-riddled apartments. One woman, who declined to give her name, looked directly into a camera and said two words: "Turn yourself in." She had already given names to police, names of people she recognized from the crowd of 50 that had assembled in that parking lot before everything collapsed into gunfire. Others described the complex with the kind of weary specificity that only comes from years of living somewhere dangerous. "I don't feel safe," said one resident. "I feel like I'm taking a chance every day, living here." These were not people performing grief for an audience. These were people describing their Tuesday nights. Meanwhile, BPD officer Truman Fitzgerald confirmed what detectives already knew was their strongest asset: the footage. Multiple Facebook live streams, bystander phone recordings, Asia's own pre-confrontation video from the parking lot. And critically, the clip in which a voice off-camera called out Jania by name during the fight on the hood of the car. Fitzgerald stated publicly that those videos had played what he described as a major role in the investigation. Not a supporting role, not supplementary evidence, a major role. The people who had pulled out their phones thinking they were capturing something to share had unknowingly handed investigators a multi-angle, real-time documentary of a homicide. Every masked shooter who had a friend nearby with a camera had helped build the case that would eventually put them in handcuffs. This is what accountability looks like in 2024. You do not get to live stream your crimes and walk away clean. The digital evidence did not work alone. The Mountain Brook Police Department provided key intelligence that fed directly into the investigation and contributed to the speed of the first arrests. The Crime Stoppers of Metro Alabama tip line surged in the days following Asia's death, with coordinator Ken Atkinson noting a broader shift in the community's willingness to act. It doesn't matter if they hire 300 more police officers. They can't be everywhere all the time, Atkinson said. It is our neighborhood. We are the people that have to live here. And so I think people are kind of realizing that if we don't step up and do something, it's
Right. An extremely tragic story, but it drives home what we're talking about tonight. We need immediately, with great urgency, to expel and get rid of this whole YN culture. If you want, and I say that, with all the sarcasm I can muster. Now you understand why the Seventh Answer and myself said this a few short weeks ago. This story goes back to 2024, but still, it's still relevant. Everybody want to be a gangster, want to be tough. And then jealousy. Ladies, we need you to be beautiful and beneficent, not carrying on over a man. A man that's moved on probably, because here it is, Asia's dead and gone. The Janiyah one, she's probably doing time now, I'm sure of it. And he done moved on. We have to do better, people. There's no getting around this, okay? And to Jeremiah, Judah, Jadman, D. Kamali, what's going on, man? What's happening? Thank you for tuning in. Look, this is why when we come here and make these presentations, we always say, we hope that we can inspire in you, influence you, all who are watching. Because we have no choice now. Our babies are dying. And we have to take the reins of responsibility. Again, and all the social programs, you can put that up to the cows come home. But without a moral and spiritual compass, without a coming together and knocking out and hammering out and getting rid of this demonic dragnet, satanic dragnet, that a great many of our old and our young have embraced, this is going to continue on until, of course, the return of Christ or some such power to come here and render this world to be a better place. Now would be a good time. Because it continues to get progressively worse. When we're reading about 10 and 9-year-olds out here raping and assaulting other children, that's a problem. This is a severe problem. And all we're doing is discussing one It's one nucleus with many aspects that are problematic. For one, our lack of accountability. There are a great many of us out here trying to do the best that we can throughout the years. But again, there are many of us out here, too many of us out here, who willfully and gleefully go along with this foolishness. Carry on. And then when the bullets, the knives fly and someone dies, well, by that time it's too late. Thus far, we showed you the pattern. And that's been a theme in these last number of weeks with every show we've done. These behavioral patterns are clearly a mark. And I'm going to keep repeating it over and over. A broken moral compass. What are we going to do about it? Sure, we could offer up a scripture or two. Sure, we could say, well, you got to become Israelites or whatever. But like the Lord said, what good is a scripture or two? Faith, as he said, without works is what? Dead. What are we going to do front line? What are we going to do hands on? Here we know that there are people out here who are banking on this kind of behavior. Or we are aware, or some of us are knowledgeable, there are certain chemicals and additives being put in our food, our air, to bring about this violence. There's so many different variables. But with one nucleus, a broken moral compass. As I said, back to back, all these killings involving young people, this gang mentality. For some of the young ladies in stud and tough girl mentality. Let me see who's talking. Hey, Water Blue Ezekiel, welcome. And shalom to you, peace to you. And for those who are just joining, tonight's topic has been a follow-up to a show we did just a few short weeks ago. This YN culture has to go, and accountability is a must. This is the follow-up to that show. You see why we say the YN culture has to go? As we move on, and as the seventh answer is bringing about videos at random, we've been talking about the shooting of 15-year-old Jaden Pierre out of St. Albans, Queens, New York. An unidentified 15-year-old young man killed in East Meadow, Long Island, New York, Nassau. And that was a gang-related shooting. We talked about Shamar Elkins, who out of Shreveport, Louisiana, killed 8 of his children, shot his wife or his girlfriend and a friend of hers. We've addressed a mass shooting out of Patterson, New Jersey, with a 12-year-old unidentified boy who was cut down and 3 others wounded. We haven't gotten to the Winston-Salem, North Carolina incident just yet, out of Lineback Park, but it was mentioned. But yeah, a gang fight, a gang meetup in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Lineback Park, where 2 young people were cut down, dead and gone. We addressed the shooting and killing of Chauncey Meekins at a fast food restaurant, killed over an argument involving onion rings. We showed you the very disturbing video of an unidentified male in Harlem who picks up a young lady who didn't want to give her phone number to him and didn't want to talk to him. He gives her a variation of a tombstone pile driver, stomps on her head. So there's some other videos that we're going to show, and we're going to get ready to close up out of here. But look, 2 videos showing ladies fighting over a man. Jealousy. Like I said, we as a people, we are in crises. And again, white America has its own problems. And others, they have their own problems. These are issues and problems that we must solve. And it's going to take, again, cleaning ourselves up spiritually, intellectually, and emotionally to get this thing right. We have to forsake all these evils, bad television, bad programming, music, what we watch, what we listen to. Parents, please stop being your children's friends and be their guide. Get on their butts. Pause. Let me rephrase that. Get on their cases. Monitor and oversee who and what they're talking about when they're on social media. All this wanting to be liberated and be liberal, we can't do that no longer. We see all types of moral decay going on every day. So but the point comes, what are we going to do about what we got going on right now? I could say, fear God, keep his commandments. That all sounds well and good, but it's hard to even say that when the black church has failed our people. And other groups, so-called spiritual groups, have failed our people. So it's hard to even say that today. When within the church you have YNs or YH, young hypocrites, or old hypocrites. Because some of our elders have failed us miserably. So again, see, this is like I said, a multifaceted problem with one nucleus that needs to be destroyed. So we hope that as this episode follow-up, we'll have some of you out there who may have connections socially, politically, economically. Maybe you can make a change. All right? There's only but so much I can do or say due to limited resources. But even then, it's time for maybe for us to truly start collectively. Not with just lip service, but with straight up action to get these problems solved, because this is not going to stop if we don't stop making the devil our friend. It's not going to stop if we don't stop supporting all these wicked, demonic television shows that are still out there. It's not going to stop if you parents are not overseeing and regulating your children. This is not going to stop if you teachers that are out there, if you just look at your job as just getting a paycheck. It's not going to stop until we tackle this prison industrial complex. It's not going to stop until we address some of the mental issues and mental deficiencies that are found among we as a people. All these multifaceted problems, one nucleus. But are we going to take up the banner of responsibility to solve the problem? Or are we just going to continue to point the finger? See, those kids don't listen. This generation is weak. Yeah. Like I said, any fool can complain and criticize. But only a man and woman, after they finish criticizing, are going to get out here and come with a solution. And that's what we need right now. Seriously. Let's see. So as we continue on, oh wow, time really flies. So in the meantime, as we start to wind down, we want to thank you out there, my night owls, who ride with me at 1 o'clock in the morning. Out there on the West Coast, I think you're doing what? 11 o'clock. Thank you. Whatever time zone you are listening to this powerful broadcast, we thank you. And again, it hurts to have to sit here and discuss issues, like I said, that should have been resolved long before a great many of us in Generation X, Millennial, and Z were born. But now it's up to us. We have to be the ones to be the forerunners to get this job done. And if indeed there is a God or some such power that is scheduled to come and save us, like I said, now will be a good time. Seriously. And I'm not saying that in no contemptible spirit. I'm just saying it from a spirit of being tired, exasperated. I'm saying it from a standpoint of someone who spent a great deal of his adult life trying to make things right as best I can. Having been a part of so-called Israelite groups or spiritual groups that's supposed to bring about the change for the people and down for the black y'all, and haven't done anything. So I've come to the conclusion, it may indeed take some kind of a God or some otherworldly power to save us. And I speak again, I'm tired, y'all. How much more of this are we going to allow? There's so many people who, again, like I said, complain, but then are not actively involved in trying to solve the problems. And then those of us who've tried to, we're worn out. We're tired. So to all the young guns out there, put the guns down. We want you to be a different kind of YG, a young genius. We want you to be young scholars. Ladies, beautiful and beneficent. It's okay to pick up books, read, learn. Educate yourself. It's all right to walk as a nerd if need be. Speaking intelligently. Carrying yourself with dignity and pride. There's nothing wrong with that. Young men, it's okay to pull your pants up on your behind and walk as gentlemen, scholars. Ladies, it's okay to put clothes on and carry yourself with decency and class. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay, fellas, to be a good man and a good husband to one woman. It's okay. It really is. Because again, I know there's some of you, oh, what about polygamy? More than one? Please, brothers when you put away your ego, here it is, we can barely fulfill the needs of the woman we have. So how you gonna fulfill 1, 2, 3, 4 more women and their complexities and their needs? And you barely taking care of the one you with. Oh, I shouldn't say, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Because it needs to be said. So it's okay, ladies, to carry yourself with virtue and not spread yourself out here to every man you see. This whole culture, got to put that away too. All these things that we have embraced in degeneracy has to go. It has to stop. And if it sounds like I'm preaching a sermon, okay, whatever. But I'm just laying out all these multifaceted issues to a one nucleus problem. This YN culture has to go. And accountability is a must. And now with the videos and the images that we put out, coming up now on the last 20 minutes of 3 hours of this presentation, should drive home why we said that. This behavioral pattern of self-destruction, I'm going to keep saying it over and over. We can't go on like this. And how are we going to talk about Black Lives Matter? But we have among our underbelly of our people, those that we allow to be agents of chaos. How are we going to talk about protect Black women? But yet, here we are, fellas, assaulting and brutalizing our women. Or we have an underbelly, let me correct myself, an underbelly that we are allowing to brutalize our women. How can we say our children are our future, but daddy and mommy aren't investing in their children's future? This is, again, we're not condemning all, but we are addressing that underbelly of our people who we allow to do all these things in degeneracy, and we normalize it. So the time now, I forgot the name of the artist, but it was a song that went, I won't break your eardrums trying to sing it, but it went, it's time for a change, and we the people, we can do it. But the accountability factor, taking responsibility now, is a must. So, as we now start to wind up and close out, you all out there have had Yet again, a hard-hitting, powerful, but subtle truthality listening experience here on the Lion's Den. We hope that you've enjoyed this experience, and those who are experimenting as you're listening to this broadcast or listening to this show for the first time, the Seventh Answer and myself, we hope that we have hit your spiritual, intellectual, and emotional chords where you'll come back by and start on a regular enjoying the experience of this truthality social media giant known as the Lion's Den. And again, as you can see, besides us hunting, praying, and discombobulating our enemies, we also, and then pride, lion culture pride, we protect, nurture, and love our cubs. And we protect all of those who may be weak, tired, sick. When you come here, we're going to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So there's two dynamics to when you roll with the lion and lionesses. And when you come to the Lion's Den, like I said, I'm Darkstorm, and of course, the heart and lungs of this operation, like I said, the Seventh Answer, Lady Karima, Black Beauty Inc. But my personal favorite name for her now is Dark Delight, because again, in the beginning was darkness, and from darkness, she has brought forth the light. The Lion's Den, the light of all lights, to bring illumination and revelation to all you out there throughout this U.S. nation and beyond. And it's always our pleasure to do so. And again, for those who may be new, every now and again I'll break down the 8 I's that we now roll in. Ingenuity. Because creativity, development, cross-referencing, examination, that's one of the hallmarks which makes this show what it is, which makes the Lion Den what it is. Ingenuity, where the Seventh Answer, she can offer you various programming and different discussions at different times. We bring forth intelligence. See, we choose to be scholars, geniuses. We choose to be smart. So we bring forth intelligence. Cross-examine. We go out in different circles and have discussions. Because somebody always knows something. Thus, we bring forth integrity. Every presentation, we bring forth truth. We strive to do righteous reporting and discussion. No bias. Which goes into inspiration. We hope that those who are listening, we hope that we're inspiring you to get up off your duff and not just take our word for everything that we talk about. We want you to go out and examine and check things out for yourself. Because who knows? You may discover something that we didn't see. Like I said, we're a team. Thus, we go into being those who bring about influence. Like I said, it takes a lot of heart. It takes a lot of heart to be out here as voices that are in opposition of corporate-owned media. Yeah, we're putting our lives at risk, but we don't care. The truth must be told. And like the good Lord said in Psalms 94:16, who will rise up for me? Who will be the workers against those who do evil? Well, the seventh answer, myself, we're on the job and we're going to stay on it. Thus, we're independent. See, we don't have any sponsors breathing down our backs, telling us what we can and cannot say. See, no coding. And from independence, we hope to bring you insight. A simple way of saying we hope to inspire you to think for yourself. Observe and study for yourself. And lastly, we hope that you will enjoy the information that we give to you absolutely free. Sure, I won't lie and say I wish I could have $1 million contract. Hey, now money's a defense. But think about that for a second. We're not on any major news network being paid millions of dollars to lie to you. So hit that like and subscribe button. It's absolutely free. And so in closing, seventh answer. Because it's a cold, some kind of flu going around too. So take care of your health. But I had to tough it out for y'all. We had to come here and make this presentation. But take care of your health. So I'm going to shut it down a little early, a tad bit. So in closing, we give an honor to the Lord in Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. And as always, we give honor to my mentor and friend, once known in life as the third answer, James Mtume, who's now in spiritual essence. And in closing, in the spirit of Don Cornelius, tip, we take you out by saying, Shalom, peace. Ahab, love. And the posh soul.